and welcome to my channel. Recently I've decided to rebrand my channel towards commentary and essay style content. So if you've clicked on this video, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you'll stay with me as I embark on this YouTube journey. So let's get straight into the video, shall we? For this video, I'll be exploring the paradox of protective styling. Within the last decade or so, there's been an overturn of power within the black hair community. The women who were once rocking chemically processed locks were now doing big chops and allowing their hair to grow as God intended. The thing is, this new generation had no idea what it was dealing with. There had been so many trials and error in the pursuit of healthy hair, but one thing was consistently true. Our hair was very delicate in its natural state, so what better way to protect our delicate tresses than putting them in styles that will keep them safe? Odds are, if you're phenotypically black, you've worn some variation of protective styles. But where is the line drawn between protecting and hiding? As a black woman, I've had to utilize several protective styles in order to maintain my hair's length, moisture, buoyancy, and even professional appearance. But one universal truth that was not debatable amongst the masses was that black hair was not the standard, even amongst black people. I was 3 years old when I had my first chemical relaxer, and I hadn't even seen my hair in its natural state until I was 19 years old and living away from home. But why did I and countless others choose to hide our hair rather than embrace its differences? Part 1. The straight and narrow. For many people, the perception of life is reality. When it comes to our black hair, it too is perceived in a negative light. A survey conducted in 2016 by the Perception Institute found that on average, white women showed explicit bias toward black women's hair, rating it as less beautiful or attractive than smooth hair. So then the question arises for us as black women who have textured hair. Do we agree with this sentiment? In more recent years, the YouTube community of natural hair content creators has begun to dwindle. People's channels used to thrive on the very mention of natural hair in the early 2010s. But now many people who were once praised for their natural hair are wearing styles like knotless box braids, wigs, and some have even gone back to relaxers. These alternative hairstyles not only force our hair into more tame traditional styles, but they mask our natural hair while supposedly protecting it. Sure, it's true that black hair, which is more prone than our non-black counterparts to breakage from daily manipulation, the sun, and other agitative elements, is seemingly safe tucked away underneath a 20-inch Brazilian wavy. But does our hair truly thrive in tight cornrows, coated and covered in several layers of nylon? The singer-songwriter Doja Cat recently went viral for doing a big chop and shared on her live her opinion about her hair.
I don't like having hair. I never liked having hair. I remember feeling so exhausted with working out, and I'd be wearing wigs and they would be getting tacky. They'd re-tack, but I couldn't focus. I was more concerned with how I looked. There's times where I'd put a beanie on top of my wig that's on top of a wig cap that's on top of braids. I've never felt so fucking happy.
As someone who used to wear wigs on a daily basis, I can agree that it's consuming to constantly consider your hair. If some of you are not aware, I was in the Navy for 9 years, and during my time in the military, there were several grooming standards for women that we all had to fall in line with. Mind you, some of those standards were not created with black female service members in mind. There was one instance I can remember where a co-worker of mine and I had a conflict over how my hair was. Sure, it might have been out of regs, but the way he presented the information to me was very disrespectful. I have a very tight curl pattern that doesn't curl and fall, it clumps and stays. But he proceeded to tell me that I needed to fix that SHIT on top of my head. I know I signed a contract to join the military, thereby foregoing certain rights and agreeing to follow the standards placed before me, but I did not agree to come to work and be berated. The message for me to fall into standard was understood loud and clear, but his attitude towards how my hair looked was also understood. I too, just like Doja Cat, have decided to liberate myself from the constraints of hair and do a big chop, shaving my head down to a low fade, only to be met with microaggressions about how I look like a boy. So these microaggressions demonstrate that not only white women view our hair as unattractive and unprofessional, but people within within our own community. I'm not saying that simply wearing these styles is an indicator of self-hate, but subconsciously, I do believe the desire to fit in is the underlying force for why Black women choose these styles. Many women who wear locks experience men and women viewing them in a much more eclectic light than they would otherwise choose to be viewed in.
Outrageous lock stereotypes, okay? Is that if you have locks, that just automatically means that you are artistic, or that you're into spoken word. It's like if you have locks, you have a certain dialect, and part of your dialect is going to always consist of the words king, queen, sister, earth.
For example, me having locks does not mean that I burn incense, smoke ganja, or listen to reggae. But as stated earlier in the video, perception is the reality to many people. With so much diversity in how we can style our hair, it's no wonder we experience so much anxiety when it comes to our hair. Part 2, the paradox of choice. In 2004, author Barry Schwartz wrote about the negative effects of having too many options in his book, The Paradox of Choice, Why More is Less. He discusses how from observing people who have many options to choose from, this can often leave people feeling less satisfied. This phenomenon leads to anxiety, indecision, paralysis, and dissatisfaction. My whole point in bringing up the paradox of choice is to show that just because Black women's hair is more versatile than women with straighter textures, they are actually at a disadvantage for being less satisfied with their hair's capabilities. We often get bored easily and stretch our hair to the limit to achieve the next hair trend, sometimes to the detriment of our own natural hair. Many of my friends and even myself have said things like, I need to get my hair done. Emphasis on need. When our braids get old or that beautifully silky lace front is matted and no longer serves our interests, we quickly monkey bar from one style to the next without giving our natural hair a second look. This is not just a phenomenon exclusive to Western Black women. In many African countries, women there too struggle to maintain their hair to fit the Western standard of beauty. But us, as the women who have firsthand experience with our own hair texture, need to recognize and acknowledge the cost of having hair that fits the standard of beauty. We've all witnessed the videos of women braiding their hair up, right, down, and back, constantly killing the follicles on their hairline in order to achieve the flattest lace humanly possible. Looking back on my hair journey, I can recall several times where I looked in the mirror and I felt ugly because my natural hair was out. Now, I'm a big advocate of self-acceptance, but I still fell victim to self-repulsion. Why? Why had I gone on this natural hair journey several times only to hide from my natural hair and cover it, not only from the world but from myself? As women, it's important for us to have body autonomy, and that's including over how we style our hair, dress, and even wear our makeup if we so choose to do so. But we can't neglect the idea that there must be limits on what we engage in. I love a good chewy gooey chocolate chip cookie from time to time, but if I ate them every single day, my weight would be significantly higher than it is now, putting my health at risk. Many of you have probably heard the saying that what's understood doesn't have to be explained. So when someone who constantly engages in wearing wigs and these supposed protective styles looks in the mirror and their hairline is 4 centimeters back from where it began, then they need to ask themselves, should I put a limit on this endeavor, or is it okay to continue? Of course, that's only a question the wearer can answer for themselves. But if we truly love our hair, we should pour that same love and energy that we put into laying our wigs back into our natural hair. Back in 2019, I first decided to put my hair in locks. For the first 6 months, I was doing pretty good, but eventually I began to look in the mirror and not like the image reflecting back at me. I didn't feel pretty or feminine. Mind you, I had just had a baby. I was experiencing several mental health issues at the time, but my journey with locks at that point had ended when one day I decided to just cut them off, and I instantly grabbed a lace front wig, glued it to my head, and guess what? I did feel prettier, even in my own eyes. I perceive myself as more beautiful with another woman's hair glued to my head. The funny thing about this video is that I'm sure many women who've experienced the same things that I have won't be honest about it. They'll just write it off and say, I style my hair that way because I like the style and it's my choice to wear my hair how I want to, which is true. But we are sentient beings who have the capability of thinking deeply and introspectively about the decisions that we make. For every action, there's a cause for that action. So as those who engage in this type of fashion statement, we should know and understand the driving force behind our decisions. Part 3, the manageability debate. It has long been a point of contention for natural hair wearers whether one, natural hair or relaxed hair is more manageable than the other. While relaxers have been on the back burner for the last 10 years, a subset of black hair content creators still focus their channels on the health of relaxed hair. The market for natural hair hit its peak in the late 2010s. With so many people, including myself, going natural, it's quite odd that we actually don't see the fruit of our labor. We should all have long, flowing, healthy, natural hair down our backs by now, but we rarely, if ever, get a glimpse at someone's natural hair. We may see it in passing in between installs and hair braiding appointments, which are entirely overpriced these days if you ask me, but we don't see a lot of women whose hair doesn't fit the looser curl pattern wear their hair out, typically. The argument could even be made that people just prefer longer hair, which would still put black women with tighter coiled hair at a disadvantage because black hair shrinks. My personal opinion on going natural is that it's just as time-consuming and costly as any other hair texture. So then if we decide to go natural, choosing an objectively harder path, and we still just cover it up, why not just stay relaxed? This is the reason why the black hair discussion is such a paradox. Because while we want the admiration for keeping our hair natural, we also want to benefit from the societal perks of having straighter hair. Besides wigs and extensions, we can include braids into protective styles. Many people utilize braids as protective styles, but more recently it's been noted that braids are actually causing a significant amount of damage to black hair.
And every day's a dream when I'm carrying your love with me.
It may just be a fact that the hair is not accessible for a period of time, and once the hair is released, all the shed hair that's been secured in a braid comes out all at once, giving the illusion that we've lost a lot of hair in the process. When I used to get braids, I never noticed any growth. My hair is significantly drier than other hair textures, which means my hair breaks off at the same rate that it grows. This creates a deficiency in length retention. Just go ahead and add the tension of the heavy canacolon hair to my already delicate ends, and you have a recipe for stagnation. When I was in high school, I remember it was very popular to wear a hairstyle called micro braids. This style took nearly half the day to finish, up to 12 hours sometimes, and would last up to 6 weeks if maintained properly. But no matter how well you took care of them, you would always experience what is known as popping along your hairline. And you would know that you experienced popping because you would see small white dots attached to the end of the braid. Once you took the braid out, there would be significantly less hair there than there was when you started. And this hairstyle was considered a protective style too. Many women today who loved these styles back in those days now suffer from things such as traction alopecia, but that's a different video for a different day. And of course, I can't speak for all black women because our hair is not monolithic. In fact, many factors contribute to a hair success rate. There are women who exhibit the same or similar hair textures to mine who have no problem with length retention. The reason for that could stem from geographical location, diet, stress level, and even genetics. Closing thoughts. The whole point of this video is to get the conversation started in the black hair community. For us who are born with textured tresses, it's very important that we undergo exposure therapy to our hair. Society, family members, and the media have all conditioned us to think straighter, whiter, smaller is better. These women are beautiful, but we too are beautiful. I would encourage anyone who's ever felt any of the pressures that I've mentioned in this video regarding their natural hair to spend some time allowing your hair to breathe and not be styled to perfection. I know when I allow my hair to be free in its natural state, it's liberating and I feel happy. I'm not viewing myself through the gaze of men or societal social constructs for professionalism. I'm taking the time to recognize the person staring back at me and appreciating what I see. And again, this is not a call to action to run out and burn the wigs, but understand that wigs and other hairstyles are just accessories to add variety, nothing more, nothing less. Again, I want to thank everybody who's tuned into this video. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be making a lot more essay style videos. If you like this video, give it a like. Follow me on Instagram. Leave a comment down below of a time when you got a protective style that wasn't so protective. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.